The Chicago Bulls make it 5 in a row as they take care of the Philadelphia 76ers, 109-102. We're going to be talking about the key takeaways from tonight's win. And so before we go ahead and we jump into it, I first want to remind you to slam dunk on that subscribe button, just like Modest Buzelis slam dunks in games. And so in exchange for slamming on that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Chicago Bulls. And so make sure that you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, and you join the Chicago Bulls Insider family as we talk nothing but Chicago Bulls basketball. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into it as we're talking about the key takeaways from tonight's win against the Philadelphia 76ers. And so I always like to start with the points that describe this game. And so I have three. And so the first one is that this game was a game of runs. I think that this was a game that went back and forth really throughout this game. The Sixers got off to a great start. Initially, they were out to a 7-0 start, and then they had a 13-2 lead at one point. And then the Bulls were able to come back into the game on a 12-2 run. And really, it was just back and forth throughout the game. And so just a game of runs. And then that leads me to the next point. Strength in numbers as the bench was huge for the Bulls. And so 59-12, the Bulls outscored the Sixers off of the bench. They scored 19 points in the opening quarter off the bench. And so I think that the bench was really huge as far as just swaying the momentum for the Chicago Bulls. And they were really big throughout the night. And then at the time of this current podcast recording, the Chicago Bulls are second in the NBA with bench scoring at 44.3 points per game, just behind the Grizzlies. And that leads me to my final point, is just that this team was clutch again as they were able to finish out the fourth quarter on a 10-0 run. They were able to outscore the Sixers in the final quarter 28-17. They did a great job as far as hitting the boards. They were able to get out and just get into the running game. And so the fast break there. And then they were able to just get some good ball movement and player movement and get the stops that they needed and also get the baskets that they needed. And so this team putting it all together as that is 5 in a row. And so next, I wanted to go ahead and jump into the starters and just the bench and just take a look at everybody here that played in tonight's game. And so starting with Josh Giddey. And so with Josh Giddey, you see that he had the 12 points. He also had 5 turnovers. He was a +6 in the plus-minus box score. He had 11 assists. He also had 6 rebounds. He was 5 of 6 from the free throw line and 3 of 12 from the field, 1 of 6 from downtown in 33 minutes. And so it wasn't the best, statistical game in the sense like he's making a lot of shots, the efficiency and everything else was there. But I think that Josh Giddey really did a great job as far as making the plays down the stretch that the team needed. I thought that he showed some more confidence once again off the bounce because the one 3-point shot that he did hit, it was off the dribble around a screen. He shot it with confidence. And really, I think that that has been the story of the season for him as far as shooting the 3 ball. He also had a nice little backdoor play where he got a layup there. He had a great look to Zac Collins in this game, also to Vooch, and then also to Jalen Smith that led to 3-point shots. And so just timely plays from Josh Giddey tonight. And so I liked what I saw there down the stretch from him. And also too, talking about a player that showed up down the stretch, it was Coby White. And so 13 points, a -1 in the plus-minus box score. He did have 1 turnover in this game. He had 6 assists. He had 7 rebounds. He was 4 of 4 from the free throw line, 1 of 6 from deep, and 4 of 12 from the field in 29 minutes. And so with Coby White, once again, I think that he was clutch just like Josh Giddey was. I thought that he had some really huge plays down the stretch. He had a crazy step back on Embiid that was wild. He had a very nice assist to Tre Jones where he fell down on the ground. I mean, that was a wild assist too as well, and it was huge. It was at a critical moment. And so I just think that whenever this team needs somebody to go out and get a basket, or you need somebody to step up in the clutch, regardless of how it ends up, I think that you see that with Coby White. And so just taking a look at that play that was wild where he fell on the floor and he was able to get it to Tre Jones and he got the layup in a huge moment for the Bulls, right? And that kind of goes into what I'm talking about with the player movement and ball movement. The fact that Tre Jones doesn't just stand there, that was huge at that point in the game. And so, again, Coby White being clutch for this team down the stretch. And with Vooch, and so Vooch certainly had a tough night tonight. And so you see he had the 7 points. He was a +1 in the plus minus box score. He did have two personal fouls. He didn't have any turnovers. He did have one block. He had 7 rebounds. He was 1 of 2 from downtown and 3 of 7 from the field in 29 minutes. And so I think the biggest play for Vooch was the play where he gets a big block shot on Tyrese Maxey, who's coming downhill, and he makes that block shot, and that really helped the Bulls go ahead and get the win here. And I think that with Vooch, he didn't necessarily score a whole bunch. He knocked down an early 3 in this one. Again, he just had that huge block shot. But I just like the fact that regardless if Vooch is, playing well with a whole bunch of points or he's getting the double-double and things like that, I just liked that he's out there being the pro's pro. He gave us some good effort today in this one. And the next with Modest Buzelis. And so Modest Buzelis, he wasn't necessarily out there to close it down, but man, I think he had some moments. And so early on, I liked how he was hitting the 3-point shot. And so he had 10 points in this game. He did have 5 personal fouls. He had 3 turnovers. He had the 3 blocks. He had 8 rebounds. He was 2 of 2 from the free throw line and 2 of 6 from downtown and 3 of 10 from the field in 20 minutes. And so I like the fact that with Modest Buzelis, we are seeing the block shots. And I think that right there is something that is going to be a superpower for him. I think that once he becomes a better on-ball defender, that's where he's really going to take off defensively. He did have a very bad foul, I think, against Embiid in this game where Embiid got him into the air. And so those are things that he's going to have to be a bit more disciplined on. I do like the fact that he did get to the boards tonight. So 8 rebounds. I'd love to see him actually take that up a little bit more. And again, I think that there were times where we saw some confidence from him in knocking down the 3 ball. And so next, Isaac Okoro. And so with Isaac Okoro, I think that he continues to be a player that he's starting to get more comfortable. I think that is probably the biggest thing with Isaac Okoro. And so he had 8 points in this one, a -14 in the plus minus box score. He had the 2 assists, 2 of 2 from downtown and 3 of 5 from the field in 18 minutes. And so I'm loving the fact that he's really feeling confident with that step back 3-point shot. He's also a guy that is starting to knock down the corner 3 ball, which I think is going to be there again because teams really aren't necessarily playing him like that. He had a very nice floater in the lane against Embiid. And so I think that there is an opportunity for him to continue to grow just offensively and defensively. You know what you're going to get from him. I like the fact that in tonight's game, he did not get into the foul trouble. I said that in the pregame that I think that kind of throws him off. And so a solid game from Isaac Okoro. And the next, Zac Collins. And so Zac Collins was certainly huge for us off the bench in this game. And so I just loved what we saw from him. And so in this game, he had 15 points. He was a +6 in the plus minus box score. He had 1 assist, 5 rebounds. He was 3 of 3 from the free throw line, 2 of 3 from deep, and 5 of 8 from the field in 19 minutes. And so you could tell that Zac Collins was locked in early. Like he had a very nice straightaway 3-point shot, looked very nice. He also hit a nice corner 3-point shot. And also too, look, he was running the floor hard. He got a nice and one. And you can just see that he's showing the versatility for the Bulls. And that's exactly, I think, what he came in the league as, is a versatile player that could step out and also go inside. And obviously, I think that as time has gone along, he's become a bit more physical than when he was coming out of college. And then also, too, in his years with Portland and San Antonio, he's gotten even better with that. And so I think that he gave us some presence here, especially going up against Embiid. And so I liked what I saw from him. Again, I think that the biggest thing from Zac Collins today was just that we got a chance to see the versatility. And next, Jalen Smith. And so, look, Jalen Smith was huge tonight off the bench. And so you see that he led the entire team in the plus minus box score with the +24. And so 12 points, He had 8 rebounds. He had 3 assists in this game. He had 1 block shot. He was 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 2 of 4 from deep, and 4 of 7 from the field. And so I like the fact that he continues to show the confidence, and he continues to just show that he has grown a lot from last season. And so you're talking about a player that was not in the rotation, and he is just coming out, letting the three ball fly. And so he was knocking down the threes there. I love seeing that. He had a terrific pass to Zac Collins, which led to a hoop. I love one of his 3-point shots was a nice little jab step three. And I'm like, wow, he's really feeling good. But the biggest thing that Jalen Smith did in this game was a huge dunk over Embiid. That this was him on the baseline. He gets a nice pump fake and just drops it over Embiid. It was emphatic. Like that was a huge play where he dunked that over Embiid. And so again, Jalen Smith had an incredible game in this one, just made a huge play down the stretch. And so talking about that bench some more and going to Kevin Huerter. And so, look, I loved Kevin Huerter's movement off ball today. I thought that he was getting loose for some nice little fast break opportunities and just really outsmarting the Philadelphia 76ers by getting down and getting these easy fast break layups and stuff like that. He also had like a nice little off ball movement, top of the key 3-point shot that I liked as well. And so again, you know, I always talk about just really high basketball IQ with Kevin Huerter. I think you see that with him and also to Tre Jones, which we're going to talk about in a moment. And so 9 points, +3 in the plus minus box score. He also had 1 turnover. He had 1 assist. He had 1 rebound in this game, 0 of 2 from the free throw line, 1 of 6. And so just talked about the 3 that he did make, 4 of 9 from the field in 23 minutes. And the next, that leads me to Tre Jones. And so Tre Jones was huge off the bench for the Chicago Bulls. And so we already saw the play where he makes the layup off of Coby White falling and everything else. But man, he was huge on the boards when this team needed it. I thought that he made some tough layups. And so I always talk about how crafty he is finishing inside over, you know, bigger players and things like that. But man, he just plays with just a high level of just basketball IQ. And I say this all the time with him. He certainly made it to where the Bulls felt comfortable moving on from Lonzo Ball. I feel like that you get a lot of the stuff with Lonzo, with Tre Jones. I'm not saying he's the same player, but man, there's a lot of plays that just remind you of some of the stuff that Lonzo has done in the past for this team. And so 15 points for Tre Jones, +3 in the plus minus box score. He did have 1 steal in this game, 2 assists, 6 big rebounds. He was 3 of 6 from the free throw line, 0 of 2 from deep, and 6 of 10 from the field in 24 minutes. Next, Ayo Dosunmu. And so I know Ayo didn't necessarily score a lot of points in this game, and it wasn't anything like that, but he was still huge. He had 8 points, a +13 in the plus minus box score, 1 steal. He had 4 assists. He had 3 rebounds, 2 of 4 from downtown, and 3 of 6 from the field in 24 minutes. And so, again, I love the energy that we got from him, and he was part of that bench mob force tonight. And so the Bulls make it 5 in a row. And next, I wanted to go ahead and jump into just really the team box score and talk about that. And so you really see a team that has got it done off the bench. They've also really got it done as far as just hitting the boards and things like that, and just their ability to close down in the fourth quarter. And so just looking at some more numbers here from this win, the first thing that I wanted to take a look at here was the field goal percentage for the Chicago Bulls. And so you see that they shot 44% in this one, 38 of 86. You see that the Sixers were 35 of 93 for 38%. Then when it came down to 3-point percentage, neither team really shot the ball that well. 14 of 41 for the Bulls, 11 of 39 for the Sixers. And so 34% for the Bulls, 28% for the Sixers. Free throw percentage, this is something the Bulls have got to get better at. 19 of 25 for 76%. The Sixers at 88%, 21 of 44. And then the rebounds. And so once again, the Bulls out rebound their opponent. And so 52 to 46 in this game. That was huge for the Bulls, especially down the stretch in this one. You see defensively, more rebounds, and that is huge when you're talking about taking away the offensive rebounds of another team. And so 40-33 there, the Bulls lead 31-22. And so that goes into what I was talking about with just the player movement and ball movement when you look at the assists for the Bulls today as they lead there. And then the steals, Sixers 7-3, blocks, the Bulls 6-4, turnovers 12-9, the Bulls there. 14 points off of those turnovers, 16 off the 9 turnovers for the Sixers, 13-9, the Bulls lead in fast break points, and 48-44 as far as points in the paint. And then you see the largest lead for both teams, 11. So the Bulls were able to get up by 11, I believe, there in the second quarter. Sixers were able to get back into the game, and the Bulls just kept going back and forth here with the Philadelphia 76ers. And so anyway, you guys let me know what your key takeaways were from tonight's game as the Chicago Bulls take care of business and make it 5 in a row in taking care of the Philadelphia 76ers. We'll be talking post-game tomorrow after the Milwaukee Bucks take on the Chicago Bulls, as the Bulls are going to be at home, Bucks traveling to the United Center. And we also, too, will be talking about the recent trade rumors around the Chicago Bulls and the NBA. Wanted to talk about the recent article that was posted there on Clutch Points. And so be looking for both of those videos. And as we always say, look, go Bulls. I'll see you guys on the next one. And once again, happy holidays. All right, peace.